Well, hi, hello, how are you, everyone? Welcome to today's exciting episode of Flashback with Wes Britton, where you get to hear me and my co host, Karina Kansas, interview stars, entertainment insiders, and entertainers from every variety from times past, present, and future. So kick back, enjoy this next hour, and thanks for stopping by.
Oh, yeah, Summer in the City. One of the big hits from a band that put out, I can't remember all of the hits off the top of my head. Let me give it a try. Do You Believe in Magic? Let's see. Did You Ever Have to Make Up Your Mind? Younger Girl, Nashville Cats, 6 O'Clock. Well, many, many more. That's one of the reasons the Lovin Spoonful was such an important act in the 1960s, and they're still doing their music today. And we're going to get into it with one of the original members and continuing members of the Lovin Spoonful, drummer Joe Butler. Hey, Joe.
Hey, Wes. How you doing?
Doing pretty good today, especially because I got Lovin Spoonful Man on, which is good time music. That you guys are known
for. That song earned its keep today because I'm in New York City and it's about 95. It feels like that anyway. We have a 2-week spring. It goes from 65.
Yeah.
In 2 weeks we have spring. Then it's 95. It goes from cold to hot.
Pennsylvania spring. It just didn't happen. It was like winter, boom, summer. It was a strange year.
Right.
Well, let's go back to your beginning, because it seems like I read somewhere that your musicianship started off with you beating on newspapers and books and furniture before you got a drum set. Is that right?
Yeah, and then got a drum set, and my father, of course, gave up his little workshop in the basement, and we moved his workshop, and he was very, very meticulous. Boxes were filled with like bolts and everything, everything was in its place. He was a police officer, and we moved I took over his workshop, and we stapled up the egg crates, the traditional soundproofing, and I had a drum kit. And when you're learning, I think the only reason the neighbors didn't kill me is my father had a gun. He was a cop. I always feel bad for the neighbors of kids learning to play drums, although it was a pretty quiet thing. But I started off singing, and I've always been a singer. On the Spoonful albums, I always sang a couple of few cuts on each album. We had really 3 lead singers in the group. Mm-hmm. Nevertheless, I was always a singer, and when I first started, before I even had drums, I was playing guitar and singing with a band at 13, and doing... it was a funny band because we did country and western songs, and then we had an accordion player, a guitar player, me on drums, singing. And we would do songs like... He's in the jailhouse now, and then we'd wind up doing "Lady of Spain," so the accordion player could do the bellow shakes, like "Lady of Spain," with the bellow shakes. Oh God, we had a great time, and we worked from the 13 to 15. I was working making music and money in music from the 13 on. But so anyway, yes, I had this drum kit, and it was by today's standards kind of pitiful, but it doesn't much matter what you hit as long as you have something to hit. And as a matter of fact, many times, and not so, we did recently, maybe 8 years ago, it was recent for me, we did an unplugged album where in fact I played rolled up newspapers and phone book and brushes and tambourine and chair top and mounted this stuff, like homemade sounds, and we have an album. I think it's on our website that is a live album where it was all acoustic, so we didn't use a kit, drum kit. Now, I must tell you, for the last 23 years, I have been fronting the Lovin Spoonful, singing the leads, and we've had a drummer. I moved when we first got started up again in '91. We had 3 out of 5 people that played in the band that were willing to go at it. And I started playing drums and singing, and I was singing all the leads. But the problem was, a lot of times I would have heard a drum setup where it wasn't lit, or it wasn't. So it's hard to communicate, especially if we play what we call chestnuts, album cuts, that are not hit songs. And people are hearing them maybe for the first time. So I decided to come. It was easier for me up front. I play guitar, auto harp, some percussion, and I sing and have fun with the audience. It's harder when there's a drum kit between you and the people. So I haven't really been drumming for years. I've just mainly been fronting the group, So I have but I do have some experience doing that. I did 3 Broadway leads and an opera. I took over the lead in Hair when the original writer started the second company in Los Angeles. I took over the lead, Claude. We still get together, and these are some really good singers, by the way. Some of these guys are crackerjack singers. The original cast members and original Broadway run members get together, and we raise money maybe once every 12, 16 months. Doctors Without Borders and Mercy Corps. We raise money. We do well, actually. And, people donate at a large nightclub, and we set up, and some of the ensemble stuff is really solid. It's really good, So I'm kind of been singing all these years lately and not drumming. Although when it comes to certain things, I'm like many drummers. I'm still a primitive, like electronics. I really don't email. My wife does it. I'm a drummer. 2 hunks of wood and a dead animal skin. Doesn't get much more primitive than that. So I have those instincts.
Well, you guys were kind of a musicians kind of band back in the day, because in those early records, unlike some other bands, you guys actually played on your own records, right?
Yeah, and earned us a nice tip of the hat from the other band members. But in some ways it was very hard, because we were up against the Wrecking Crew on the West Coast, and then whatever Wrecking Crew there was on the East Coast. And bands like the Association or the Byrds or the Mamas and the Papas or the Beach Boys or all their music was made by these amazing, talented people. But it gave us a unique sound that we might not have gotten by interchanging musicians for different sessions. I don't know. But in some cases we had to settle for a lot less than I wanted to settle for. We would think we'd get another crack at it and get back and do things, and suddenly it'd be on the air. It was like the story that Bill Medley tells about Phil Spector.
Bill Medley, folks, in case you've forgotten, is Righteous Brothers.
Oh, from the lead singer, In case you've forgotten, folks, you never close your eyes anymore when I kiss your lips. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, he sang You Lost That Lovin' Feeling. But he called Phil Spector the day after it was cut and said, Phil, look, I got to change that lead in that one spot. Phil says, I swear on my mother's soul, I will get you back in the studio. And while he's talking, Bill Medley hears the song on the radio. He's put it on the radio. He's such a well, it's like there's a great email out by Suzy Roach from the Roach Sisters, and in it it's what they say and what's really happening. And in one it says, you've sold 100,000 copies. And the truth is, you haven't sold 100,000 copies. You haven't sold 100,000 copies. The truth is, you've sold 100,000 copies. It's almost like the business is designed. It's almost like politics. It's almost designed for liars. That the better you lie, and the lying thing is very much like in acting. I studied method. I worked in the studio with Vincent D'Onofrio was my scene partner for 2 years. So I have a lot of underpinnings. But my favorite explanation of what acting is comes from the Seinfeld series, where George Costanza is the best liar Jerry Seinfeld knows. And Jerry Seinfeld has been lying and saying he does not watch soap operas on television, so his friends are going to make him take a lie detector test. And he goes to George Costanza, the best liar he knows. He says, George, help me. How can I beat this test? How can I beat the lie detector? And George says, Jerry, that's like asking Pavarotti for vocal lessons. This is a gift. I can't teach you how to do this. And as Jerry is dejected and turning and leaving the room, George Costanza throws Jerry Seinfeld a bone. And he says, Jerry, wait. And Jerry stops. He says, Jerry, remember, it's not a lie if you believe it.
Yep.
Well, it's like that's what acting is. If you want to sum it up, it's creating a reality. But I don't know why I'm saying all this. I guess just from the experience I've had in the theater. I think it's a really great job, and it's an honorable job, and people need this break from routine and break from their jobs and a chance for an hour or 90 minutes to go into some kind of fantasy or be entertained or get some laughs or even a tear. You know, it's really good work, and I'm very proud to be doing it. You know, I'm very lucky to be doing it, and to have had the lessons I've had to develop the underpinnings for doing a good job for people. You know, people give their whole lives to a company or business. You know, this is what I'm dedicating my life to, is the people. I want to do a real good job for them, so they know they've, you know, that's all.
Speaking of the kind of the stage visual arts side of things, one of the prepared questions I had here for you was one of your guys' early breaks was doing a song for a Woody Allen movie. How did that come about? Because Woody Allen wasn't really a brand name yet, was he?
No, but we when we first started, we played clubs, and then we did a couple of big arena shows, and then right away we were hired after we were on television by the Supremes to open for them, and it was the Deep South. We were kind of like the white male draw against their, you know, African American girl group, you know, kind of. And we toured the South, and then we teamed up with the Beach Boys and opened for them. And then we immediately had we were getting big enough that we had people open for us. Eventually it was the association, but many times we would hire comedians to open for us, which was no mean feat in a large arena. And we hired Woody Allen, Richard Pryor, many of the comedians of the time. We didn't get Bill Cosby. He wouldn't do it. He would only do his own shows. But our manager shared an office with Harold Rollins, who was managing Bill Cosby and Woody Allen. So Woody knew about us, and he thought of us when he had a Japanese spy movie which was so ludicrous and so campy. He wiped out the soundtrack and put all new dialogue on it, made it even more campy and ludicrous. And we did a cameo and locked up in a studio for a few days, except, you know, going home to eat and shower and sleep and coming back. We turned out the soundtrack. All of us kind of worked on it together and came up with music for this piece, you know. Anyway, they called
What's Up, Tiger Lily?
What's Up, Tiger Lily, yeah. He was so embarrassed the night in Hollywood when it was presented, he hid in the bathroom. And I tried to get in the bathroom, I'm pushing the door, and he was there. I said, Woody, what are you doing? He said, nothing, I can't be out there. I said, what's happening? What do you mean? I can't be out there. I said, okay. Be right out. You know, and, yeah, he was anyway. It's funny because when I first started doing hair, the original leading lady was Diane Keaton. And a month into performing, she went across the street to join Woody Allen in a brand new play he'd written called Play It Against Sam. Once they did that for a year, the next movie he made, he did Play It Against Sam, and it really scored because they had the benefit of underpinnings of an audience. That's why Woody Allen now, when he shoots his movies, he shoots them, and many times has a contract where he can call the actors back after he does editing. He reshoots as much as 40 or 60% of the movie again. He gets a second chance. That's why he's been able to maintain such a standard and has such a cachet with his audience, because he really works on them, you know what I mean, and reworks them. So, but yeah, so Woody Allen hired us to do his movie. That didn't get him out of the bathroom, though.
Well, another one of my questions that I've been wanting to ask for a very long time is, in the early lineup, you had a gentleman there who I think is kind of the unsung heroes of the era. Maybe that's because I found Alive and Well in Argentina so entertaining, but I'm not so sure that Zal Yanovsky ever got his due. What do you think about that?
He never did. No, Zal Yanovsky was revered by all including Jimi Hendrix, and revered by Eric Clapton. I'm trying to think of I can't think of all the names of the players. Jeff Beck, all the players of that era. Keith Richards, all respected Zolly. Zolly was the most amazing. He could play anybody's style. In other words, if you wanted something to sound like Chuck Berry, you wouldn't believe it. He could do so. He could pick. He had guitar sounds, and also he had more access to his emotionality, I think, than anybody. I was aware of it because I was always a singing drummer, so my drums, I always played in mood. I mean, sometimes you'd be singing. One time, so I remember we were auditioning a guitar guy, and the guy, I said, "Do you know what this song is about? This woman just lost a child. This song is not. Are you crazy? It sounds like you're celebrating. This is a funeral. It's a dirge." But so Zolly had this amazing ability to connect with the most basic, visceral emotion of a song, and that really, for instance, we a song that Steve Boone wrote that I sang called Butchie's Tune about a girl we knew. It wasn't just. I just saw the last show of Mad Men. I think it closed the season before this one, or one of the seasons. It was the closer song. Steve wrote, it was just basically a duet between me and Zolly. The work he played on that, on Butchie's Tune, if you can get to it sometime, it was a throwaway. It's a single vocal. It's just me going through it. The only thing that Zolly helped me with, and it's funny, was when he started playing, he was more delicate than he is in real life. Zolly is really out there, but he was very quiet. And I realized, wow, I should sing this song to a girl as if I'm leaving the bed, I'm getting dressed quietly, and I don't want to wake her, and I'm telling her I'm not coming back.
Well, we hope you enjoyed that episode. Don't forget that all past shows are archived on the Artist First Radio Network, and join us next week for another exciting episode of Flashback.